The Drive-Thru is our monthly news episode and is sponsored in part by organizations like CollectorCarGuide.net, Project Motoring, Garage Style Magazine, the Exotic Car Marketplace, and many others. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the Drive-Thru, look no further than www.motoringpodcast.net. Click About and then Advertising. Thank you again to everyone that supports the Motoring Podcast Network, Grand Touring Motorsports, our podcast Break Fix, and all the other services we provide.
Welcome to Drive-Thru episode number 55. This is our monthly recap where we put together a menu of automotive, motorsport, and entertaining, in quotations, car adjacent news. Now, let's pull up the window number one for some automotive news.
One for the thumb, baby. Season 6, we're kicking it off. And I know you're going to correct me. You're going to say, but that's not right. That doesn't make any sense. Because one for the thumb is the fifth one, right?
I don't know.
Technically, this is our fifth full season coming up here because our first season was super short and it was only half. So I count this one as our fifth full. One for the thumb, baby. I mean, we've done 55 of these.
Did we even do drive-thrus in the first season?
Yeah, we did. Our very first one was like in the second month of the show.
Really?
Yeah, like August or something like that.
Wow, we sold out that early.
We sold out.
I have news.
You have news. What's going on?
Actually, a lot is going on.
Your car's done.
It's done. It's cooked.
Cooked? What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's somebody else's problem now.
Oh, you sold it?
Sold it?
I sold it.
Whoa.
Professional.
Let's get into it.
This is Break Fix Dashboard Confessionals. Dashboard Confessionals with Brad.
Look, he's a little misty-eyed about it. For the first time in a very long time, you are not a Volkswagen owner anymore.
I know, and it's going to be for a while. I can't remember the last time I didn't have two vehicles.
What made you kick the habit?
I got tired of throwing good money after bad.
That's the definition of Volkswagen ownership. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So when I have my what should I buy, I'm going to have criteria. But it's basically it was the right kind of car. It was the wrong car, though. It was the wrong specific car.
Right.
But it was what I wanted, but the car was too ragged out and beat. Like, I enjoyed working on it, but I would have enjoyed working on it, making it better, not fixing the shit that the previous owner had fucked up the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and change brake calipers and fix wheel bearings and wheel hubs and all that bullshit. I want to throw turbos and shit on it and superchargers and coilovers and all the fun stuff. And I kept throwing good money after a bad situation, and it just kept getting worse. And the more I did to it, the worse it got. And I mean, I was double into it what I originally paid, at least.
This sounds like my BMW.
Exactly. Which is why I'm making a statement now. There are only 3, maybe 4 German cars I will consider purchasing in the future. Ever.
And 17 Japanese ones. So what are these 4 German cars? I'm very curious.
So the first one is a Mark IV R32, because I'll do it right and get the OG.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the first one. The second one is an E46 M3.
Yeah.
Just because I've lusted after those cars ever since they were ever made. The third one is a 911, because who doesn't want a 911?
I don't want one.
Well, that's you. You've already got a Porsche. You've already got a P car. The fourth one is probably even more unobtainium than a Mark IV R32, and that is the Mercedes CLK Black Series.
Oh yeah, that's number 1 on my list if I have to buy. And it's funny, Tanya and I were just talking about Mercedes before we got on air, and she did some car spotting on the road. She's like, I'm not sure if it was a 190 modified resto mod, or if it was an actual Evo 2, or if it was a 460 560 SEC. We're trying to figure out exactly like what late 80s model it was or whatever. But yeah, the CLK Black is definitely right up there.
I'd like to interrupt our program here. In Arlington, Virginia, you can purchase yourself a 2004 Volkswagen R32 with 108,336 miles for the low price of $17,981.
What color?
Silver.
They're not unobtainium. They're just more expensive, which is fine because I'm not going to be in the market until the kids are out of daycare.
You will never get one of these then.
I'm going to, because they'll all be trashed, or they'll all be destroyed.
Oh, wait, you said daycare. I was thinking like when they were old enough to drive. Never mind.
Oh, no. Daycare. So like 4 years from now,
Yeah,
I'll be able to pick one up then. Or I'll get something else.
still a 20-plus-year-old Mark IV that needs everything. So you're in the same boat all over again.
Yeah, but at least at that point, I'll know what I'm getting into and I'll be a lot more choosy about the vehicle that I buy. And I won't buy a car that was at auction.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, the Mark IVs and the Mark Vs don't share any DNA, so you're going back in time. You know what I mean?
I know. I prefer the Mark IVs.
Oh, I feel you. I feel you. They're just more specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but one thing I did find, not to keep going down this train.
Oh no, you dropped the bomb.
So yeah, I just dropped a truth bomb for the first episode of the new season.
Now we're going down this road.
The one thing I did find out between the Mark IV and the Mark V is there's a lot more aftermarket support for the Mark IV than there is the Mark V. Funny enough.
To this day, across the board, yes.
Exactly. So that was another thing I kept running into problem-wise is aftermarket support and even just stock part support for that car was really hard to find. Like I needed, after doing all the rear suspension and everything, it was to the point where I basically needed to replace the entire rear subframe because it
Ooh.
was so rusted out and everything, and I couldn't find one anywhere.
Yeah, because there were only a handful of those cars to begin with.
Right.
Now, I will say, build numbers wise, there are less Mark IV R32s globally than there are Mark Vs. Like they brought 1,500 to the US, but I think total production numbers was still under 5,000, which is not that much.
No, considering they brought 5,000 Mark Vs to the US alone.
Right, exactly. So that then, which is really weird that you would think you'd have more stuff available, but now you're in that weird period of, well, how much of it is shared with the second generation TT and all that kind of crazy
So
stuff.
I say this, and what will actually end up happening is I won't be able to find one. I'll still have the itch for another Volkswagen, and I'll shoot for the star, the R32, and I'll land on a 24 valve VR6. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, I got one on the trailer. It's ready to go.
I know, but I don't think you're selling it, and it's not street legal.
Everything has a price tag.
Everything's for sale.
As for street legal, that's a whole
Yeah.
other problem.
But anyway, those are the only German cars that I will consider buying in the future. I will not buy another German car.
Wow.
Yeah.
The lesson is finally learned, I guess. German cars suck. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not true.
I'm kidding.
They're just not for me.
And to your point, my list of German cars keeps getting shorter every year.
Yeah. The older I get, the less I want to deal with all that fuckery.
Chicanery, yes, exactly. I don't want to.
Okay, any German listeners, anybody that speaks fluent German, can you please translate fuckery to German so I can use that word?
Farfignuken. That's what it is.
It's fucking stupid. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we continue this thread? This is now the showcase. We're going to talk Golf R because that's the first article coming out of Volkswagen Audi Porsche News by talking about the latest R edition of the Golf that's coming.
What makes it an R? What makes any of these anything anymore?
I don't see anything special. You tell me. Is it wheels and the brakes? Because those brakes, they're not even Brembo. I mean, look at these things. They look like the stuff you get at Advanced Auto that say like Corvette on the side. You just screw them into your actual calipers. So it looks like you have a big brake kit.
I mean, what makes this different than a GTI? Do they even make the GTI anymore? Is that the
All-wheel
problem?
drive and more horsepower, like 100 more horsepower.
Oh, so it does still have all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It has R center caps for the wheels.
And a really stupid looking R on the back under the Volkswagen symbol.
And that goofy exhaust and everything else that goes along with it. Yeah, by outward appearances, other than the color, the Subaru blue, going back to the original mark for R32, that Volkswagen R blue is specific to the Rs. You can only get it on those models. Whoop-de-frick, it looks like every other STI out there. And it was on purpose because it was competing with the STI and the Lancer Evolution when those cars all came out together. So they've kept that traditional. It comes in limited colors otherwise, but they're standard Volkswagen colors: black, white, red, silver, blue, whatever. Compared to the previous Golf R, what makes it so special? I don't even know what edition we're on now, Mark 8.75 or some happy horse hockey like that. 13 more horsepower than the last one.
They just kicked up one more PSI a boost.
Yeah, more than likely. It's still dressed up with 235s. They've been running the same wheel size since the Mark IVs. How pathetic is that? You got a car this big and they haven't stuffed more rubber underneath of it?
It does look like it's lifted.
It looks like a Tiguan.
It does.
Well, the best part is there will be a wagon variant that the US won't see,
Ah.
and it will have the exact same performance in a heavier car.
Ugh.
They even said it'll be slightly slower. No kidding. You're putting the same power in it, but you made it bigger and heavier.
And that begs the question, how much more does this weigh than the previous Golf R? Because 13 more horsepower keeps it at the same power to weight ratio that it had before, so it's not any faster.
The car weighs between 3,472 and 3,500 pounds. So 3,500
It's
pounds.
still heavy for a Golf.
That's what my old one weighed.
Yeah, the Golf Rs have always been heavy. The original R32 was like 33, almost 3,400 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Although they claimed 0 to 60 in 4 point whatever,
4.6 seconds.
and a top speed of 167. On what planet?
Nordschleife.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Who would pay $50,000 for this car, though?
That's the punchline I wanted to get to because I called it. I said the Golf R is going to be 50 grand and the GTI is going to be right behind it with a 10 grand delta.
Who's gonna spend 50 grand on it? And you know what? I have the memory of Nat these days as I was listening to WTOP on my ride in this morning, as I do now.
People still listen to that?
Yeah, man.
It's the only thing she gets on her tape deck.
I was going to say the AM FM radio.
Well, see, here's the problem. I've already heard the 10 songs about 150,000 times. So I got to like stop listening to the broadcast radio stations until there's a new 10 songs that I can get sick of hearing.
So you can switch to Spotify's mix, which is the same 10 songs over and over again.
At least
Okay.
those 10 are 10 that I most likely selected. But at any rate,
You were listening to NPR.
sorry, I was listening to WTOP. One of their news segments this morning was talking about the price of cars and how there's this boom happening of more people buying cars at $100,000 or more. And I'm like, who are these people? They started talking about Land Rover. So that right there, that's a very niche market, of course. Yes. Okay. But also, who are all these young Americans or whatever they were saying that are buying these $100,000 cars? I mean, on the one hand, a GTI is $50,000. Everything's creeping up. A Corolla is $40,000. I mean, pretty soon, yeah, it's going to be pretty normal to be like, oh yeah, I spent $80,000 on, grocery getter.
That's pathetic.
These people, the young Americans, are YouTubers and OnlyFans models and
I guess.
all these 1099ers that are in the entertainment industry.
We've talked about this before. How many of these are leased versus bought? Like, whoa, you old Xenial boomers buying your cars. Ha 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 ha. Idiots. Okay, fine. But you know what? I like my freaking car. So over the long term depreciation, it's going to end up costing me less if I
Right.
do the minimum amount of maintenance and not lease it. I mean, again, I don't want to get into that argument. Yeah, you can have a $100,000 car if you're renting it. Sure. What do you care? Shwee, woo, woo, woo. Rent that money.
I guess so.
We've seen those stories.
Don't do the math. At the end of your life, you spent how many hundreds of thousands of dollars?
And you have nothing to show for it.
You could have owned a Maybach when it was all said and done.
You probably own multiple Maybachs.
So anyway, let's ground ourselves back in Volkswagen news. The one thing I want to add to this Golf R story, it started with your recently departed Mark V Golf there, Bradley.
Yes, sir.
That was the first R Golf that came only in automatic, and the new one is only coming in automatic. So we're going to repeat the same mistake we made the first time, which is why the Mark Vs didn't sell well. I do not have high hopes for this at all.
I don't understand why they did that for the US market because you could get it with a manual in the Euros.
Outside of the BMW and Porsche people that are like, save the manual, keep the manual, all that kind of thing, there's been a lot more people saying, I don't care if it shifts in 0.3 milliseconds on the street. It doesn't matter.
Who gives a crap?
We're not at the Nürburgring. So it doesn't matter if it shifts the most efficiently that it possibly can. They don't even sound good with the DSG. It's all this, it's like it shifts in 10 seconds and it's over. And you're like, well, that was lame. At least, if I want a granny shifter or if I want to rev it out and, blip shift and all that you can't do that with an automatic. It's just, it's lame.
Yes.
Yes, but it's bragging rights. Oh, my car shifts in 0.23 seconds. So much better than yours.
And I'm still dog shit slow around Summit Point, Maine.
Well, that and if you don't watch the lights properly and know how to read them, then I got you off the line because by the time you figured it all out, I'm already taken off, right? So it's like big deal at that point.
And nobody can steal my car.
And you're still going to get your ass handed to you by a Tesla. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day what you have.
But the Tesla is going to get lighter as it goes down the road because its panels are going to fall off. It's like the F1 strategy where the cars get faster as they use their fuel.
Uh-huh.
The Teslas get faster as they drop weight, literally down the middle of the road.
We'll get to that a little later. The other thing that bugs me about this $50,000 Golf R is that when you bought a Golf R, especially the original R32s, you got a super nice interior. Those Koenig high back racing seats, hand stitched this and embroidered that, and the black Alcantara roof.
It was special. It was
Exactly.
a special car.
Well, Audis were always really, really luxury and really, really nice, especially starting in the 90s when they started to figure themselves out. You had like really fine leather and wood trim, and one of the first cars to have the mobile car phone, all that kind of stuff in it. I know that's ancient technology by today's standards, but 30 years ago, it was a big deal. Now there's these articles coming out that Audi is even admitting that their interior quality is getting worse every year with every model that they've put out. But the price of the cars, to Tanya's point, continues to climb. So you're paying more and getting less, which is what bugs me. Again, going back to that Golf R situation, are you really getting something special for 50 grand over a GTI?
Are we surprised? The quality of everybody's stuff, for that matter, I'm sure has been going down. I'm sure it's not just them.
There's been talks about Mercedes quality going down ever since basically people would say that the best Mercedes cars were the ones in the 90s and before.
Yeah.
Anything after that generation, it's all shit.
Yeah.
Wasn't it back in the 90s? Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Maseratis and like the Italian brands were notorious for terrible dash quality. And like the dash up there on top of the steering wheel and all that were known to like crack and blister and break apart
Yeah.
and all that.
Porsche had that problem too, right? Because they were experimenting with weird new plastics and composites and all this kind of stuff. The materials didn't hold up well to UV. Then you got the fun things like, you remember the 944s where they would put this like carpet on the dashboard to cover all the cracks and stuff. You're like, oh, that looks so
Yeah.
terrible. But they solved those problems over time.
Yeah. The accountants are running the shop now. They're making sure that they cut all the costs that they can.
Of course. And then you get inferior products that don't last long, or, no one's going to have a real leather interior anymore. Not cars that are meant more for the masses. Yeah, there's, a Ferrari somewhere, even if they still do. Maybe something super high end Maybach.
That was something that Bentley always took pride in. Like they would get cows from a very special region that were cage free, like no fences.
No way that's flying in your Lexus going down the road.
No, it's all pleather.
It's all fake stuff. And then you already had decades ago, everyone using whatever that stuff is called, that nasty spray stuff to make everything look so wonderful and nice on the interior. And then you know what happens after 20 years? It becomes this gross, disgusting, melted mess that stains everything that touches it and looks like garbage.
20 years, those cars are all going to be in the junkyard after that amount of time.
Well, and that's what I wonder with these new interiors that are admittedly lower quality by the manufacturers. It's like, what are these going to look like in 20 years? What are they going to look like in 10 years? Are they even going to make it 5?
What is it that Tanya used to say? Hot garbage.
Garbage.
That's what they look like. I guess Audi's got to pay for that Formula One program somehow. There, we found out the secret. That and the new R8 that's supposedly coming.
Who's buying that?
The article is talking about, hybrid V8 and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that's great. The only thing that gets me excited about a new R8 coming is that maybe Audi might return to IMSA in the GT3 classes with something. That's sort of cool. But again, if you're funneling all your money into Formula One right now, I don't think they can be distracted with other high dollar racing programs like IMSA or even WEC. So I was like, I wonder if Audi's going to go back to Le Mans. It's not going to happen. I mean, unless money is suddenly growing on trees at VW and Porsche, and all we've heard about for the last year is plant closures, downsizing, how they're losing money. And now we got dealerships that are being sued for underperforming. What?
How do you sue a dealer? What does that mean?
I hope they countersue for the manufacturer making shitty cars.
Thank you. Because that's what I kept thinking. Like, is it the dealership's fault that they can't sell something that nobody wants.
I mean, if that was the case, who wants to be a Volkswagen dealer?
Well, and that's just it. And I know one of the ones in our area, it was the same thing. It was Volkswagen, Subaru, and Subarus outsell VWs nowadays like 3-1, if not more. And it became, over the last couple of years, Subaru only. There is no Volkswagen dealer here locally. So we're like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Not that it matters. I order all my parts from ECS anyway. To your point, Brad, I mean, make a better car.
Yeah.
I mean, they make some boring stuff. I will say, Tanya and I drove by one of the dealerships the other day. There is still one up this way, and they had 3 ID Buzzes out front.
So speaking of the ID Buzz, I saw one rolling down the road today. It may have been a wrap. It was identical to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bus.
Oh, nice.
It looked pretty sweet. I gotta say, I didn't see if it was Leonardo or Donatello driving, but it
Nice.
did look pretty sweet.
One of the ones that we saw was that yellow that they have. I don't know even know what to call that color.
Sunflower yellow.
Yeah, and then they have the blue,
Orange.
and then they had an all white one. And the all white one was like striking because it didn't have it was absent of color. And you're like, oh, that's really interesting looking, all one color. I'm like, I wonder what it would look like in black, or dark gray, like a Eurovan instead of this two-tone 60s hippie bus thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't like the hippie bus colors.
Eric, just for you, I just put something in the chat.
All blackness. Look at that. This needs some red striping.
Yes, it needs to be the
18
18.
van.
Yes.
Oh, I see it now. We need to put a VR6 in this, though. Get rid of that electric garbage.
Yeah.
I guess if you read through this a little bit more, so the complaint actually has been going on since 2011 when they first started failing to meet whatever their sales target quotas were. And what they're actually saying is that there's other nearby dealerships that are selling well and meeting the targets. So that could be indicative of a particular problem at this particular location.
Or they just care to focus more on their Subaru sales than their Volkswagens.
It
Yep.
could be anything.
Because their customers don't want the Volkswagens. Their
Yeah.
customers go to the other dealers for the Volkswagens.
What do the other Volkswagen dealerships sell other than Volkswagens?
Couldn't tell you.
So let's move on to Lower Saxony. We did that last month, and we don't need to talk about it again for like, what, another 5 years or so?
Yeah. I think that's our cycle.
Yeah. BMW, Mercedes, not relevant. We know what they have. We know what we're getting.
That's the next time. Yeah, talk about cars that nobody wants.
That brings us straight into Stellantis.
Stellantis.
Talk about a company that can't find their butt from a hole in the ground right now. This is what the British call taking the piss. I'll just read the headline. Stellantis taps Swedish startup for quadricycle production technology. It uses a flat pack chassis. We're talking IKEA style, build it yourself kind of stuff.
Sweet.
This is what Stellantis is focusing their attention on. Company doesn't have anything to sell.
This ain't coming here. So if they're marketing it in Sweden, I bet it'll do really well.
Where is this being sold?
Not here.
Look at this vehicle. In what Total Recall, Blade Runner?
Demolition Man. It's the murder death kill cab.
This thing is horrible. Nobody wants a car that looks like this.
You know what they're doing? They're adding more fuel efficient vehicles to their fleet to lengthen their mile per gallon average or increase their mile per gallon average so they can build a 1200 horsepower Hellcat Demon Satan Lucifer Morningstar.
Ooh, the Lucifer Morningstar edition.
Yeah, there you go.
Is this actually a car that's going into production, or is this like a concept that they're trying to prove this flat pack technology or whatever else they're doing?
I'm going to ask a question on top of your question. And my question is, who cares? Who cares?
So I will say this to answer Tanya's question. The car in the picture exists already. That's the Lovely O, whatever that Swedish manufacturer is. So
Or live
Stellantis,
it.
whatever, Fjörgen Blurgen. But the point is, it's like Stellantis is partnering with Lovely O to develop their own version of this not so lovely looking vehicle. I mean, this thing is, oh, this is bad. Just bring us a new Charger or Challenger for the love of Pete. All right. Domestic news. We got some domestic news. Actually, Brad, I think you called this a while ago.
This is the greatest fear of all this stuff come true.
Headline reads, GM is sued for selling driver data to insurance companies.
Let's be fair to GM. GM sold your data to a third party. Third party then sold the data to the insurance company. Let's make sure that we factually report that.
GM has to sell your data because they're not selling many cars.
Bazinga!
So they got to find a revenue stream somewhere.
There's so many old cars to still enjoy.
It's just sad. This is the world we live in where everything soon is going to be standard. And I think we literally said this probably in the past, talking about the same conversation is like soon your freaking toilet is going to be smart and it'll be feeding information. I don't know where.
To Charmin.
Pretty sure there are smart toilets that link to an app on your phone. I saw advertisements, not for the toilet, but for smart water bottles that link to an app on your phone.
Why do you need that?
Because people can't just write down or remember how many cups of water they've had in one day. They need an app to blink and tell them, hey, time to drink some water.
Is it that complicated to know that you need to hydrate? Am I such a Neanderthal that I can't just drink when I'm thirsty? And if I'm not, I don't? I mean, not to diverge into that conversation, but this is technology begetting technology for the sake of technology for no good reason. And now that water bottle costs $250 and comes with a warranty plan from Verizon or something. Why?
It's cellular data.
Yeah.
Yes, the problem is people buy this shit. I don't know what's the bigger evil, that this stuff exists or that people buy it, which therefore make it exist.
And it's all running on Amazon Web Services. And don't even get me started on that.
It's a whole other episode.
Better than CrowdStrike.
That's a whole nother thing. But still, I mean, some things just need to be dumb. That's that. All right, General Motors. And now we move to Asian domestic news. Brad, you brought us this one.
Yes, they're bringing out a new FJ Cruiser. And I never liked the first one. I thought they were dumb. I had a friend that had one and he flipped it over trying to off-road through a construction site.
What?
No, he wasn't off-roading through a construction site. He was off-roading at a friend's farm on his birthday and flipped it.
I'm still going to go with what as my response to that.
That's all I know. I wasn't there. That's what I heard. That's the scuttlebutt around the water cooler. So yeah, they're bringing out another FJ Cruiser. It looks like a Toyota version of the Land Rover Defender, which is exactly what it is.
It looks a little better than the original.
This is a rendering, so we don't know if this is ChatGPT doing its thing or not, but I agree with Tanya. It's better looking than the previous one.
Well, yeah, the previous one looked like a turd.
It's just goofy with that little door, like whatever.
Well, if this is what it looks like literally a Toyota version of the Defender.
Well, that's the prompt you put into ChatGPT. Please re-render the Land Rover as a Toyota. Boop, and there it goes.
Yep.
That rear end is terrible, though.
Regardless of what it looks like, there is a desire for a Toyota off-roader. I mean, they redesigned the Land Cruiser, they redesigned the Sequoia, when they did the Tundra refresh. So the Land Cruiser was made a little bit smaller and a little bit more like off-road focused than the previous one, which was a tank of a vehicle. Jeeps sell well, Broncos sell well. I'm not surprised that they're trying to compete in that market.
And the Scout is allegedly coming. Let's put air quotes on that one.
Here's my question. I always like to pose a new question each episode. What comes first, the new Scout or the new DeLorean?
Considering there's multiple companies with the quote unquote new DeLorean, they might make it to market first. Picking up where you left off on flipping FJs over in a construction site or a car park or a farm or whatever it was, what about this next one?
What's the point? Because other than the body panels, what is left of this being a 240SX?
I don't know.
And for those that can't see what we're talking about, it's an article about some Japanese company that did a conversion to make a Nissan 240SX into basically a Baja.
A pre-runner.
So it's got a hood, it's got half of the front bumper, the headlights, and the door panels, and the roof. And the rest of it is a custom chassis and everything else.
So what kills me about this is, why can't this be like a remote control car? Kind of like NASCAR, right? Where you put a plastic body on the top of this frame and it looks like a Nissan 240. Why did we have to sacrifice a 240SX to make this?
So I'm going to theorize. I have an idea of what I think happened. I don't care what the article says. I don't care what the guy said. If he said anything about why he built it. I think he had the chassis for the pre-runner. He had a 240 SX that was sitting in a field somewhere, didn't run.
Mm,
It's like, I'm just going to take these body pan. I need a body for the pre-runner. That car's not running, and I'm not going to fix that. Let's just go ahead and slap it together.
that's like the Top Gear. How hard could it be?
Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, the off-roader in me thinks it's kind of cool. I mean, it would be kind of cool regardless of what body it had on it. If it had a Toyota RAV4 body, if it had a Toyota Super body, the thing that would make it sacrilege is if they actually cut up a good working car. But if they cut up a car that was already junk, then who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
if I kept that R, things kept going wrong with it, I could totally see doing something like this with that because the only thing good about that car was the body panels.
Are you sure about that?
Well, two or three of them.
Yeah. I was going to say you replaced some fenders and whatnot.
I replaced the fenders, the hood. I've still got the door downstairs that I need to sell with the wheels and a bunch of stuff.
Well, Brad, if that hasn't gotten you upset enough, I know you're a bike guy too. You've had plenty of motorcycles, and this next one hits not so close to home for you. Were you planning on going to the Nürburgring with the motorcycle anytime soon?
Yeah, I was going to go next week. So apparently
nice.
I can't anymore, which is really, it really sucks. So I guess I'll just have to stick with the Isle of Man.
So, article reads End of an era, the Nürburgring bans motorcycles from the Nordschleife. That's significant because they have a massive amount of folks that ride bikes on the ring. And I get it. It's a whole safety concern, is the reason why they decided. But more importantly than that, it's not just safety of, okay, well, it's motorcycles running with other motorcycles. Nope. The craziness of the Nürburgring, as it always has been, it's like, yeah, we'll send the cars out and the pedestrians and the motorcyclists and the bicycles and the trucks and anybody that wants to pay to do a tourist lap of the ring, you can just go out and do a lap of the ring. And they just send them out and people go varying speed. It's not like a controlled track day. When bikes and cars come together, which we'll talk about a little bit later, it's not so good. I don't fault the ring for saying no mas, but on the same token, maybe they could have handled it a little differently instead of just cutting them off. They are giving them a couple of events, and there's a big bike only event that they do every year that I think is still going to happen. But as far as during those tourist laps that they do, Touristfahrten, I believe is the German term for it, that's no longer a thing for motorcyclists. Cars only.
Well, if you're into two wheels,
Oh boy.
they still do the 24-hour bicycle race on the Nürburgring.
That sounds like torture.
Sounds amazing.
How many laps do they actually get to do?
If I'm riding, one lap, one lap in 24 hours.
Depends who's riding and depends how big your team is, because you can be on a 2, 4, 8-person team.
Sweet.
But yeah, so no fun anymore for bikes at the ring. But to your point, Brad, there's still Isle of Man. There's still plenty of other places to go ride your motorcycles. Yeah, it stinks, but I don't disagree.
I like you. I feel like they could have handled it differently. They could have had like do it at a swimming pool. You run cars for 50 minutes and then you take 10 minutes or 20 minutes and let motorcycles run and then you go back.
Adult Swim.
Yeah, you do an adult ride. There you go.
Yeah, but there's a lot of logistics there because now you got to act like a ski resort, and then you got to have somebody that goes on the back end and goes, all right, this is the last car. Yep, the track's clear. Release the motorcycles.
Oh, you mean organized?
You're going to have a time delay in there, and it all becomes
It's going to be organized.
logistical nightmare. It's like last run down. You got to make sure all the people are down the mountain, right? It's like, well, you got to make sure nobody parked their motorcycle on the side and wanted to wait for their buddy and their 911 GT3 to show up, and then they go racing off together, you know? Good way to get yourself banned, but
That's how they do it.
Which is
now.
apparently what they did because now they're all banned.
Well, let's switch back to EVs and concept cars, and we'll head to France.
Why?
For, some crepe Suzette.
Oh, because for what you guys are lusting after.
Yeah, because it is a giant tease constantly from Renault with this. We're going to build the new R5, which is known as the R5 Turbo 3E.
and they are, but they're only going to make 1,980 units, which is a throw to 1980. So they're going to make 1,980 units of this awesome looking electric hot hatch.
They add more accoutrement to this vehicle every time I see it. It gets better.
They just need to put a motor in it, like a gasoline motor, and sell it. Okay, make this EV version, but also make a petrol version that looks
Yeah.
like this, and people will buy it. Maybe it doesn't need 540 horsepower, but maybe it does.
You all won't be able to buy it here in the US for another 25 years.
Of course.
So 2052?
Why do you have to burst my bubble like that, Brad? Why you got to bring in logic and realism and just let me live this French fantasy of owning this super hatchback?
That ties into our What Should I Buy episode we just.
I know. A nice little intro there for folks as they get to tune in for the rest of the season. This is the hotness. This isn't just a hot hatch. This is El Fuego. This is the hotness. This thing is awesome.
That's what they should call it, El Fuego.
They had a Renault Fuego. It was terrible. Go look it up.
It was hot trash.
It was terrible.
Hot garbage.
Well, here's another Dodoy moment.
Did anybody not expect this? There's reports that say that by the year 2030, 96% of new vehicles will be, quote, connected cars, having built-in Wi-Fi connectivity, access to all your services and whatever devices. But of course, it comes with a cost because all that stuff is subscription based. Cool. Yeah. Every car has all this from a Kia to a Bentley. But recent reports would suggest that 76% of people in their survey that they did actually don't want any of it because they don't want to, guess what? Pay the subscription fee.
Here's a novel idea. Somebody buys a car, they pick and choose the features and stuff that they want. It comes with the car. They buy it, and then that's it.
No.
You don't have to pay anything else ever again.
And we've talked about this too. We've moved away from that model in life. Everything is microtransaction based, and they're just trying to do it in the cars too. Oh, you want your heated seats? Here's a subscription. You want to be able to use your windshield wipers in the rain? Here's a subscription. You want to listen to the radio? Another subscription.
So I've got a logistics question.
Uh-huh.
From a manufacturing perspective, is it more cost effective to build all the cars with all the features already built in? Like, for example, the one Tanya just said, heated seats. You build the cars, you put the seats with the heated seats in, and then
Yes.
charge people to turn it on? Or is it cheaper to save on the materials and have some cars with the heated seats and some cars without the heated seats? Like, which is more cost effective?
So I've always argued that long term, it's cheaper to have all the features in there and then have them disabled than it is to have cars with and without, because they make them so hard to update, backdate. Because what are you going to do? Like, as an example of our
You're gonna run a new
Volkswagen.
loom for your heated seats?
Yeah, you're going to run your own wiring for heated seats. Just put the wiring in there and then it doesn't, there's not a switch to activate it, which is actually the point of a video I saw on Instagram the other day. A guy has a newer BMW and he's getting around some of these things because they put what would be a physical plate for like buttons and it has no buttons, but he realized inside of there's like a little control board. So he 3D printed these little like actuators and he made like the fog lights work and he made some other stuff work that like had no physical buttons, that were quote unquote subscription only, because again, the computer is just turning on a circuit on something mechanical. So he was able to get around it. And I said, that's going to happen. Then they're going to be like, oh, that's like pirating the car. Blah, blah, we're going to come
God.
after you.
Void your warranty.
Yeah. FBI warning, right?
Although it's not anything that already hasn't been happening, because cars that are sold in Europe are different slightly
Yes.
than the cars sold in the US. Take the comfort climate control switch that I need to install in my Mark IV. In Europe was a standard feature that you could have one-touch turn signals. Not a standard feature on the US cars. However, you can get the module and install it on the US based car because all the stuff is there.
Yep.
This has already been happening. They already do this.
They're just making more work for themselves at the end of the day.
I mean, I think I agree that it's probably long-term cheaper if you just put everything in there and then you either turn it on or off or you hide it. But that's also why they had packages in cars, right? Like,
Yep.
to your point, Brad, of I want to be able to choose what I want. Well, it's okay. Well, I want the Midnight Murdered edition, and that comes with, XYZ other features and or I just want the Econo Box Toaster edition and I have roller crank windows still in it.
Yeah.
I think, though, we should make the distinction with these cars that the interior stuff should be all the same. All the creature comforts, all the human stuff, touch the button, get this, the heated seats, the heated mirrors, the power window, like that stuff should be standard. I think the exterior packages should be optional. Do you want the Midnight Murdered Out no chrome edition? Do you want the big wheels? Do you want big brakes? Do you want stuff that can be bolted on to the basic car that you don't necessarily need for every day? But as a commuter, as a driver, and I think that's the other thing too, is the Europeans especially, they drive, but they don't drive as far as we do. And I'm gonna just lay that out there. America's a lot bigger, and we do go a lot more distances in our cars. It's not like a hop, skip, and a jump from the DC area to Florida. I mean, granted, we can
Right.
get on a plane, but the thing is, if you're taking these long trips, like we're used to in America, you want those things. You might not need them. You live in Texas, but that one time you went to Denver to visit your friend and it was freezing because you were skiing, it's nice to hit the button to turn the heated seats on, even though 99.9% of the time in Dallas, you don't ever use them. Just give me the stuff and I'll use it when I want to.
Well, then that feeds into their subscription-based model because 99.1% of the time I'm not using it, but that 0.9%, let me just pay the month subscription because I'm going to be skiing this month.
Cars shouldn't have microtransactions because how much did you pay, as we've talked about many times, for that Tesla, for that F-150, for that 911, for the BMW? You're $100,000 into this car and now you want me to pay $499 for the heated seats for a month?
Hell yeah.
Get out of here.
But they're brainwashing people into that because every other aspect of their life is that way.
It's awful and needs to stop.
Their third appendage
I call it the digital enslavement device.
or whatever, the extension of their hand, the cell phone, is nothing but a microtransaction suck. They had to try. They all had to try, right? They had to try and get on the bandwagon and see if they could make it work. But unfortunately, this is an area where, yes, people spend a lot of time in the car, but at the same time, they don't spend as much time as other things. I don't think they're willing to pay for that kind of stuff because their digital enslavement device, they're staring at that while they're driving, not anything else in the car. So what the hell do they need all these other special features for? Because they're just staring at their phone anyway going down the road.
They're warming you up to the idea of the autonomous vehicle.
That too.
And like a lot of those futuristic shows, you watch like Upload or you watch, the new this, the new that, whatever it is. And they're like, oh, hello, John Smith. Blah, blah, you're on your way to the blah, blah, blah. Would you like me to queue up this for you? And then it's like, boop, 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 deducted from your bank account because, it's part of that concierge service now rather than part of the driving experience to have those, creature
Can you
comforts.
imagine? You could get into your car and it knows your order. So it already contacts Starbucks as soon as you get in the car and your order is there. And then you drive through the touchless, personless drive through at Starbucks and it goes cha-ching, deducted. And you pick it up out of the window and you just keep going on your way.
There are people right now going, yes, 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 I want that. This is like the smart water bottle. Some things should be dumb.
You boomer!
I'm a Neanderthal. That's what it is.
This is like that episode of Black Mirror. All the people are riding the bicycle and they have to ride the bike to generate
Yes.
points to do things, and then they spend their
Dogecoin.
their government efficiency coins, and then
They're dicks.
their dicks.
I've merged the Doge and the efficiency coins. Sorry.
This is scary to me, is what
It is.
you guys are talking about. It's very scary.
And you're 100% right, because if it works with cars, generally it works with other things.
You can already pay $5,000 for a refrigerator that it will tell you what's in it. It's connected to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, whatever to your phone. And I think it can create like a grocery list because it knows you're low on milk and gives you a warning. Hey, you need to buy milk. So what stops it from going Instacart? Needs gallon of milk, and then boom, you have a milk delivery at your door.
Again, there are people going, yes, yes, I want this. I need this in my life.
And they're the same people in the movie WALL-E that are just sitting in the wheelchair thing.
More like Idiocracy, watching the Nut Punch videos.
There you go.
I have a surefire way to see what's in my refrigerator and know when I need to go grocery shopping.
Here we go.
It's really simple. I walk over to the refrigerator. It takes me about 10 steps. I open it and I use these things called eyeballs.
No, but look at all that energy you're wasting by having the door open to look. If the fridge can just tell you or have a camera for you to view inside.
Tanya, it must be my new health conscious lifestyle that is driving this non-laziness for me. I'm sorry. I know that's not majority of the world.
You got it all wrong, guys. See, this is where married life comes into play. You learn the game and you turn to your significant other and you say,
Hey, honey, go check the fridge.
do we have any mustard? And they go, nope. And you go, okay, I didn't even waste the trip to the refrigerator. Look, I don't need a smart refrigerator. I got a smart spouse. What the hell what do I need all this electronics
But
for?
what Eric isn't telling you is he's asking his smart spouse from his office, She's sitting on the couch in the living room. He's asking her a question to go check the fridge. She doesn't get up. She just says no. And now Eric has 4 bottles of mustard.
There's a Samsung refrigerator meme that says the Samsung's new fridge will ping your phone if you leave the door open. And the reply is, why the fuck doesn't it just close the door itself if it's so smart?
The next thing, they put hydraulic openers on the Rolls Royces.
And a fridge will cost $5,000.
No, I got it. So I figured out how me as a layman who doesn't have a smart fridge can see what's in my fridge without having to get up. I put my GoPro in the refrigerator because I've got a GoPro lying around. I put that in the refrigerator and I just queue it up and I can use the GoPro app to my phone and I can pull it up and say, hey, we're out of beer.
Well, this next one is actually something smart for a change. I came across this article. I found it fascinating. I was like, wow, something I can kind of nerd out on. And coming at the heels of a lot of these EVs being in production for over a decade now. And it talks about how firms are putting a new spin, pun intended, on EV motor technology and how they're trying to recycle and harvest materials out of older EV motors into these new designs that they have and how much more efficient these new motors are and how much more power they can generate and all this kind of stuff. So I won't get into all the technical details, but the punchline is, as we've always said, EVs are extremely wasteful because of all the precious materials that are used to create them, not to mention their detriment to the environment, harvesting all these rare earth metals and all this kind of stuff. So these firms like ZF, one of our favorite German manufacturers, is working on how do we take these older motors apart, reuse some of the pieces, recycle them down, melt them down, turn them into something else, whatever it is. And so I thought this was actually really cool and I just wanted to share it.
Obviously, this is a great idea, but isn't this something that ICE manufacturers have been doing with ICE cars? The cars go to the junkyard, they get broken down to their raw materials. Aren't those materials recycled and then put back into other things?
Why do you have to come in with that pin again and burst my balloon with this logic and realism? No, absolutely. Now, the thing is, there are rare earth metals in things like catalytic converters, but it's not nearly the same amount of quantity or quality that exists in an EV. So they have to go about it in a completely different way to recycle.
Of course. But I feel like ironing out the recycling process years ago would have been smart.
Yeah.
Is that the point of this article?
Probably not.
Well, it is and it isn't, because I thought they were also talking about using a whole other motor technology.
Correct.
I only skimmed through it. So magnets, but they're magnets made from rare earth elements. But then those earth elements are actually recyclable and they could remake magnets once the magnets wear down.
Correct.
And so you kind of have this cyclical, never ending. I mean, sure, at some point you get to a point where you've lost enough of it that you need to replenish with new. But that's interesting if they're coming up with a different motor technology that's not necessarily relying on what they're doing today.
Exactly.
Still doesn't solve the problem of mining for rare earth metals.
For the batteries, yeah, that hasn't changed yet. Although there's a whole Panasonic and LG, and there's all these new batteries that are coming that are not supposed to be lithium based, but we've heard about that for the last 5 years. So who knows?
Well, these things take time.
They do. Well, now it's time we move on to Lost and Found, Brad's favorite part of the drive-through, where we try to see what Chuck LeDuc and Gray Chevrolet have to offer us this month.
Well, I'm not going to cars.com, but I will see that apparently there was an abandoned Ford Escort Cosworth.
2 of them, actually.
Yeah.
One only has 12,500 miles on it. And as we learned from an upcoming What Should I Buy episode, the Brits go nuts for anything with a Cosworth badge on it, right?
Correction. Apparently the Brits go wild for anything with a blue oval on it, not necessarily just Cosworth.
Yeah, that's true.
For whatever reason, they love them over there.
So these cleaned up, got running again, they will sell for a pretty penny. So they are projecting the cars could fetch over 100 grand.
Then someone could take that money and buy a Civic.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
All right, continuing with Lost and Found, Brad, this was another one you brought us. It's from Haggerty. According to you being not you, Brad, but the audience, cars that never got the engines that they deserve. And I went through this extremely long list. I didn't really need to go past the first one on this list.
The Dodge Dart.
Yeah. So I love the write-up on this where the crowd is saying, oh, the modern Dart should have got basically Alpha's 1.8T. They came in the 4C and blah, 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 and this and that. And, all this. And I'm like, another 4-banger? Who cares? Put a V6 in this thing.
Put a straight six in it.
5-cylinder, I don't care.
Ooh, a 5-cylinder would be
Yeah,
cool.
don't take a 1.4 turbo and then say, oh, I'm going to put a 1.8 turbo in it. Like, really? 400cc does not make that big of a difference. You can turn up the wick on those Abarth motors pretty high and make really good horsepower. If you're going to do something, put a 6-cylinder in it.
What it really should have had, because the Dodge Dart actually wasn't a bad looking car. It was a pretty cool looking car. You know, if I was in the market for a little Icona
Yeah.
car, I would have probably considered it. They should have made an SRT version with the motor from the SRT Neon.
Yeah, for sure.
What was it, the 2 liter or 2.5 liter or whatever it was, the turbo motor?
The
from
Peugeot
Neon?
motor, yeah.
That is what they should have put in this car.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. But they just never
Yeah.
did. They did the Abarth motor instead because Fiat, and that's that. Although those 1.4 liter turbos, they sound really good. Like they're really throaty for what they are. But again, it's a front wheel drive. Like you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, it's an Icona car. It's not meant to be anything else but an Icona car.
There's all the usual suspects on this list. The Fiero, the Prowler. I was surprised by the Citroen DS and the Cadillac Alante. And then there were things like the Fiat X19 should have had a different engine. And I just sort of scoffed at that going, yeah, and what did Fiat have in 1973 when the X19 came out other than a 1.5 liter engine? Like, give me a break. What are you going to put in it? And then there was some talk about the Panther chassis, which is, you know, your Crown Vics.
Which I think is dumb. I think the Crown Vic was fine with the 4.6. It was built for longevity, not for performance. You could
Exactly.
get the performance version, which was the Mercury Marauder, which did have the modular motor, making 300 plus horsepower. So quit crying about it. That's not what the car was designed for. Some vehicles are designed for certain purposes, and they don't need all of that. And then one that kind of got me here is the CC.
Yep.
I thought there was a V6 CC.
Yeah, you
at one
read that too, right? Because I read that and went, did you guys not realize it came with a 3.6 liter VR6? Hello? I don't know. That was sort of a stupid nomination there. Then there's the one of all the ones, the most obvious one outside of all the Malaise era cars, which there's a reason why those cars got those pathetic engines that they had. You know, the gas crisis, we've talked about that on What Should I Buys before. It's the DeLorean. Yeah, we all know it should have got a bigger motor. There were reasons for that too. So my argument to a lot of this is, some of these cars are old enough now, do the swap.
Yep.
Or they've already been done. People putting Hellcat engines and LSs and it's LS swap the world, folks. If you have the money and the wherewithal, you can take any of these, I hate to call them gutless wonders, but they are, and turn them into something awesome, because that technology, those engines that we want them to come with, didn't exist until way after they were out of production. So it was a nice little fluff piece.
Going down that little tangent, you know what would be really cool in a DeLorean?
What's that?
The 2JZ. A big turbo, straight six Toyota 2JZ in a DeLorean.
I don't know that it would fit back there.
No, I don't. I've never seen the back.
2JZ's pretty long.
It is.
The DeLorean's big, but it doesn't have that much space back there. Like it'll fit a V8 because a LS is tight, but yeah, inline six, I don't think you're getting it back there.
Okay, well, never mind then.
It's a good idea though. I like it. I mean, you know, we could just cut the back of it off and just have it hang out there. So it's all good.
I mean, you could. That's an option.
All right. Well, we said we weren't going to talk about Tesla. But this month, it's unavoidable. We have to talk about this one. Right, Tanya?
You know what? We'll talk about the two things. We'll talk about the first one, which is a public service announcement to those of you out there who have elected for reasons that you can keep to yourself about purchasing a Cybertruck. But if you have, there is a total recall on every single Cybertruck that's been produced and sold due to exterior panels, trim pieces in particular, that may detach themselves from the vehicle at any point in time, including when driving.
Weight savings.
So please make sure you get into a service station to get that fixed before you injure somebody.
So wait a minute. Is there a Tesla service station?
There is one in that Whistling Diesel video.
I have seen some, and there's normally a tremendous amount of Teslas parked in the parking lot. I don't know what that means.
Well, Tesla's not selling them, so they need a place to put them. So they just park them at the service station.
No, they're recalling them.
Oh, yeah, they're recalling all of them. All the ones that they did sell. The ones they can't sell, they're just sitting there. It's like the Ford F-250s sitting in mall parking lots and stuff because chips.
I think a lot of people are hoping that they're just going to stay there when they recall them and maybe crush them or something.
I think nowadays that might be the case.
So somebody brought up a good point about that too, is what happens to the Cybertrucks that have been wrapped or painted is Tesla going to pay to have those wraps redone?
No, those are actually being held together by the wrap, so they're probably more stable.
Oh, the adhesive from the wrap is better than the Elmer's glue that Tesla used originally.
You got it.
Moving on from that, there is an interesting article
This is so good.
that was posted by Electric, and it's discussing this YouTube video from a former, I think, NASA engineer, now turned, YouTuber, as everybody does at a certain point in their life, apparently. But the point of the video and his assessment was to compare LiDAR versus the camera system of a Tesla. You guys watch this?
I did.
Yes.
So it was 18 minutes long for those that might be interested. The first about 8 minutes of it actually had nothing to do with.
Nope. Typical YouTube garbage. People stopped watching, so they didn't actually see what happened because they broke the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, so it was about 8 minutes and 30 seconds of nothing to do with the cars. It had to do with LiDAR technology, but as it was applied to taking LiDAR footage of Space Mountain at Disney World and the Haunted Mansion ride, which, if you're into that kind of stuff, I found the Haunted Mansion part interesting because I didn't realize how far away the ride actually was to the entrance outside of the park fence line. At any rate, fast forward about 8:30, where he then starts to go into a comparison test between a LiDAR vehicle and a Tesla Model 3.
It was a Model Y.
They all look the same. Correct. It was a Model Y. So basically, he ran it through 6 different tests, which were pretty interesting, trying to simulate real world events. The first test was stationary dummy of a child in the road. Can the LiDAR see it? Can the Tesla camera see it? Both the cars were able to see the random child object that was standing in the road. No problem. Then they did the test, of course, the child that shoots out in front of the road from behind another car, simulating that neighborhood experience you might get.
That is so fake because kids don't play outside anymore. So that is not a valid use case.
That was an unrepresentative use case. Could be a dog, I guess.
That's when they start adding player characters to Forza Horizon.
Yeah, there you go. And speaking of dogs, if you own an all-black dog, please don't let it out on the street at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's dark outside, because it's really hard to see when it's standing at the edge of the road.
Not if you have Auxito light bulbs.
I don't think I would have seen it even with those. The dog was not harmed. It was busy sniffing at a tree. At any rate, so second test, child running out, both passed it. Then it gets interesting. They tried to simulate fog or whatever. So they had fog machine, LiDAR wins, Tesla camera fails.
Which was awesome. And then I knew the next one, it was like rain. I was like, oh, this is going to be exactly the same.
Which was a deluge of rain that they shot like 3 different fire hoses out. It was not representative of a normal rain situation, though it could be representative of driving through a hurricane. LiDAR wins, Tesla fails. Then they did
the Auxito headlight test.
The Auxito headlight challenge, which I actually was kind of wondering if the Tesla was going to make it or not, but they both passed that test. I will say the LiDAR passed all the tests better. I think it stopped sooner. It recognized the object faster than the cameras. And then there was the final test.
So funny.
Which was the hook kind of on the whole article, because it's Tesla Autopilot drives into Wile E. Coyote fake road wall in camera versus LiDAR test. And they literally set up a fake wall, very much Looney Tunes styles, that blended in with the background of what they were, but to the human eye, you instantly could see the guy wires holding this wall up. You knew that there was a wall there. So what do we think happened?
Oh, I know what happened.
Besides what the title says.
Wile E. Coyote hit the wall.
Wile E. Coyote not only hit the wall, went through the wall. It was like a styrofoam wall and everything. Obviously, he didn't wreck his Tesla for this. I mean, it just goes to show the superiority of the LiDAR system because, as he said in the video, the LiDAR doesn't care what you had painted on the wall. The LiDAR knows there's something there that shouldn't be there. The camera couldn't distinguish that it was fake. It just saw, open road. It couldn't tell that that was an object impeding the lane of travel. So it blew right through it. Didn't even hit the brakes.
Not only that, the LiDAR could penetrate through stuff, which was part of what they were showing even at the night vision, where it was like picking up things. If you notice, it was lighting up things on the side of the road because it's LiDAR, right? So it's getting that resonance back so it knows where objects are regardless of what's going on. So it could have done the Wile E. Coyote test in the dark with the headlights off,
in all the
rain. You could have done every condition and the LiDAR would have won overall.
The Tesla would have gone through every time.
100%.
2 points. One, Didn't Elon say something about LiDAR being dumb or stupid or not usable or something like that? Wasn't he quoted saying something like that?
They were never going to use anything but cameras on the Tesla, is what I believe he said.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he said like specifically said something about LiDAR not being good technology or something like that. And two, to the Tesla's defense, 90% of the drivers out there in the world would not have been paying attention enough to see that it was a Wile E. Coyote wall, and they would have hit it as well. I don't know that that's necessarily.
That's probably true when you're looking at TikTok instead of driving. You probably would have driven through it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're on the road, you're doing about 50 miles an hour. I mean, unless your situational awareness is where ours is, I can see how Joe Blow, soccer dad, ends up just driving right through it because it was pretty convincing.
And they did a really good job with the wall. I will say, I believe in the early days of Tesla, I thought they started out with radar, if not a mix of radar and camera. And then he basically, I think at some point was like, well, the radar technology is not here. So we're going to go camera. We're going to double down, quadruple down, quintuple down. And I think he's so dug in that the cameras are superior. He doesn't want to backtrack. Although, like, what does he care? Because he's happy to backtrack on anything, I think. But like, I don't know what it is that they're so dug in that the cameras, but it's like, come on, the LiDAR's way superior.
Can you record LiDAR footage and sell it?
No.
No, you cannot have your Tesla watch your neighbors doing inappropriate things for others to be viewing through their front windows from the driveway. Correct.
Inside or
Correct.
outside the car, don't
But
forget.
your Tesla is always recording
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
and it's doing something with that data, but the car's using LiDAR. I mean, they're not recording the LiDAR.
No.
It's just it's live.
It is what it
So
is.
I think
That's a good point.
that's one of the reasons. I mean, it's storing data, and data is money.
There you go. And there we have it.
The other thing that came out of this also was some further investigation about the autopilot system, and in a situation like this, whether or not it was true or false that it disengages, and they proved that it disengages right before it figured out that it was going to have an accident.
It's too late.
Yeah, there's been arguments about, oh no, well, autopilot, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to leave that where it is. But I think we already know where things stand with respect to autonomous driving.
You can't do it with camera alone. There's no way. You're going to have accidents. You're going to kill people.
But the thing is, it's not only that, it's the liability on Tesla that basically they caught it on camera as the system disengaged itself. So then if you looked at the black box recorder, autopilot wasn't engaged at the time of the accident. Now the liability is back on the driver because they weren't handling
Right.
the car correctly.
Well, yeah, of course, because you were always supposed to have your hands on the wheel. You're supposed to
Right.
still be paying attention. Well, if I had to fucking pay attention and put my hands on the wheel,
Then I'll
then I
just
might as well be
drive.
driving the car.
Difficult, I know. It's like smart water.
Which is why autopilot it does not exist.
No, it does not. And I won't get on my soapbox.
It sounds like the Tesla, people say, let go, let God. The Tesla did the same thing. You got to the point where it's like, I'm going to let go, let God. Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus took the wheel right through the wall.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Lowered expectations.
I read this next article and I just said, is this a Daniel thing? The only thing I can say is stop buying cars on Facebook Marketplace. I would never buy a car on Facebook Marketplace. I would never buy a car sight unseen. Go put your hands on it, go see it, to verify it, do your Carfax. Like, I know all that stuff is annoying, but you know what? I don't want to deal with individual sellers anymore. I will go to CarMax. I will go to whatever. I just don't want to deal with it anymore, right? I don't want to deal with the hassle. And I know, Brad, you just sold your car privately and all that. I'm not trying to say anything.
No, I didn't sell it privately.
Wait, how'd you sell it?
Carvana.
You sold your car on Carvana?
Ooh, they came and picked it up,
Damn.
just like the commercials.
They came and picked it up. I didn't want to deal with tire kickers and all that bullshit. I just was like, and they gave me a good deal. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I mean, they gave me more than I paid for it originally. So,
Well, they're going to just take it to auction. They're not going to do anything with it.
oh, exactly. I asked the guy, I was like, this car's destined for auction, isn't it? And he was like, yeah. I mean, it's too old, too many miles. It's too beat up. But I was honest. I put it, it's in rough shape. They're going to take it. They're going to take it straight to auction. They're not even going to mess with it.
Yeah.
But whoever gets that car is going to be lucky because it does have the United Motorsports triple tune on it.
Nice.
They're lucky.
Unfortunately, this other gentleman who bought a Ram 2500 from Facebook Marketplace, he is out 28 grand. And then he was 2 weeks later surrounded by the police that took him and his truck away because it turns out the car was stolen.
But he didn't know that.
Red flag number one for me is that it's a 3-year-old Ram 2500, so heavy duty, for only $28,000.
Right?
That's a red flag to me.
Well, that's why he jumped all over it. He was like, that's a good
That
deal.
truck should be easily double that.
I wouldn't pay 28 grand for that truck.
Well, no. But think of the mulch you can haul with that truck, Tanya.
Think of it. That short bed.
The moral to the story is just stay away from Facebook in general, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different podcast, not this one.
Well, that's unfortunate for that person.
It is. I feel bad because stuff like that happens all the time. And I bring it up jokingly about Daniel because he's got a story. His first of 3 dualies, whole transaction, and it disappeared in Texas somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God, man, like it is what it is, but that's really, really unfortunate. But do your homework. At least run the VIN and make sure the car isn't stolen because I wouldn't want the popo showing up. Somewhere along the line, somebody would have flagged it. You know what I mean? Like,
Where's the title for the vehicle?
exactly.
The title would be in the dealership's name. How was he able to title the vehicle or get plates for it if he didn't have a title? So many questions. This story stinks for some reason.
It does. It really does. It's a little fishy. As we transition into our next segment, I want to close out Lowered Expectations with the rest of the Senna story. Did you finish it, Tanya?
Yeah, so I did finish the Netflix Senna docudrama series, whatever we want to
The
call it.
Shusha love story? Yeah.
Shusha love story. I did not listen yet, unfortunately, to the podcast review. So am I giving my comments now or am I waiting till the next time?
I mean, that's up to you.
So I will say cinematically and all that stuff, I think it was well executed. It was a good production of a show, of a series. I mean, his family and everything had, I think, a big hand in the script and the development of it and everything, right? I think you can tell that because maybe those that aren't familiar with the Senna background wouldn't have picked up on it, or maybe you would, but there was very much a reverence through the whole thing. It was almost like it was Jesus Christ on the screen. Every time you saw him, it was always this,
Passion of the Senna.
That's the sequel. Comes out on Easter.
Instead of Pontius Pilate, it's Prost.
Pontius Prost.
Pontius Prost. Senna Christ and Pontius Prost.
Oh my gosh. No, but there was definitely just like this awe and this reverence constantly in the way the cameras and everything was on him. And he was so soft spoken. And I don't know. I mean, he was kind of, I guess, softer spoken in real life too, but I don't know him. Obviously, I never got to meet him, all that stuff. Was he really as nice a guy as they portrayed him to be? Like off the track. On the track, I don't think they quite portrayed his ego, his red mist, all that stuff that he think he could be. I think they glossed over a lot of that. I don't know if it's true, and you probably talked about it in the podcast, and I'll have to listen, but after a while toward the end, they portrayed his relationship with Prost to be very chummy. And I'm like, did this really happen? That like suddenly they're BFF and then like they were hardcore bros on like his final day alive and all this stuff. And it was like Prost was the last guy he ever spoke to before he died and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's like a complete freaking 180 from what we thought the relationship was. Is that even true? It's like, was it drama, theatrics, their relationship, and they were actually chummy? Or is it just we threw the chum in there that Prost was like, y'all can't make me be the devil here?
You need to listen to the podcast episode.
All answers will be revealed.
That's right. So we're going to put a pin in this, and next month you'll come to us and tell us what you thought about the 3-way crossover between me, John Summers, the motoring historian, and William from the Ferrari Marketplace. So you'll have to let us know.
I feel like this should just be a segment for the entire season. Like we spend like 2 minutes talking about Tanya's review of this and the podcast, and like we only get 2 minutes for it. Tune in next week for whatever else happened with the podcast and Tanya. Same Senna times, same Senna channel.
There you go. We have some Rich People Things, sponsored by Garage Style Magazine, because after all, what doesn't belong in your garage? The only really bit of important news here that I wanted to point out, we got a press release by way of William at Exotic Car Marketplace, Concorso Italiano, one of the main events during Car Week over in Monterey, is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, and they've already put tickets on sale to the event. These big name Car Week events sell out fast. So if you are headed to Monterey this year and you want to get in on Concorso, which is a gorgeous show, I attended the one in 2023, all Italian cars, everything you can think of, including some gray markets. Get your tickets now because they will not be available if you wait to the week of to go check out Concorso. So all the details in the show notes. Very, very cool stuff. So, Tanya, Brad decided that we were going to rename Florida Man to, at least for this month, Are You Faster Than an Interceptor? So it's time we go down south and talk about Roscoe Pico Train.
Roscoe P.
Mhm.
Coltrane. Apparently, Roscoe in North Carolina has just gotten a big upgrade to his vehicle fleet in the form of a Ford Mustang V8 Interceptor. And the title is Feeling Lucky. And I stopped there.
It's like Dirty Harry. Make my day, punk.
And I said, okay, V8 Mustang. We're talking high speeds, feeling lucky. We've all seen Cars and Coffee, so maybe.
Feeling like you might get away.
What happens if it's a police interceptor Mustang chasing another Mustang?
So what you do is you go into a parking lot, then you exit the parking lot.
The Mustang's Achilles heel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got
See?
it.
See?
Well, that's like that shot on Instagram of all the Highway Patrol Mustangs at the parking lot of the police station. How many of those survived on exit? But, you know, this is not uncommon for the state of North Carolina. They've, for some reason, always had the fastest cars in the country as their highway patrol. They had Camaros back in the day. They've had Corvettes. They've had all sorts of stuff.
So did Florida.
Yeah. And so this is not anything new. But to your point, when he's sitting in the woods, you might have a minute or two before he catches up with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to go north actually for a hot second. And I have been to Sunday River in Maine. So this one is an idiot.
You don't say.
An idiot Subaru Impreza driver who decided that he was gonna try and drive on a ski slope.
I just want to know what he was trying to recreate. Was it the classic 80s commercial from Audi where they drive the 5000 up the ski slope? Or is he trying to recreate the Grand Tour where they came down the ski slope? So which one is it?
He didn't get very far. From what I could tell, he basically made it from the little short news clip that they showed. He didn't make it up anything. He was basically at the bottom of a green at the start of a lift, hit the lift. So they say he did like $45,000 of damage to the ski resort, let alone the damage to his own car, which apparently was a lot of excessive body damage, but they didn't show a picture of his car. 33 years old, you should know better.
Should you though?
You should. You know, if it said 23-year-old,
Maybe he's originally from Florida.
transplanted up from Florida.
He's
Oh,
a
no.
Florida man transplant to Maine.
Doesn't understand how all-wheel drive actually works. You know, ground clearance is important, you know, not street tires.
Yeah, because basically deep ruts, I mean, just buried it. Whatever. What an idiot.
But that's not how Subaru sells their all-wheel drive systems. Some jabronis take their Subarus out to Roush Creek, the off-road park.
Oh my God.
They're lifted Foresters. You know, it's a terrible idea, but they do it because Subaru drivers are special. Bless their hearts.
Earlier, we talked about the new R8 and we talked about bikes and we talked about bikes and cars coming together.
I don't even understand what the R8 did to go off the road into a tree.
Everything in this video is dumb.
And then I don't understand, the motorcycle had so much time to see what was happening. How the fuck did you still run over the debris of the R8 and fall?
I laughed at that because I was like, what are you doing? I mean, obviously this wasn't staged because why do you wreck a $100,000 car or whatever the R8 cost? ops. What I saw from the R8 was they were booking pretty good because the video starts and the bike's already doing 90 and the Audi's way ahead of him.
Oh shit, you're right. Okay. Didn't see the speedometer. Yeah, yeah.
And then he brakes
In the middle of the turn.
at apex and then the car gets away from him and there's no runoff room. So he just wipes out.
He almost went like straight off.
Yeah.
I don't know what tree he hit because there's no tree there anymore. So he obliterated whatever tree that was.
This is like that F40 that wrecked, like the same thing. You know, we saw that other video. But to your point, the bike, I laughed because I was like, where were you looking? There's nobody in the left lane. Just get out of you ran over the rear bumper and then dropped the bike. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the most bizarre 30 seconds ever. But again, this is why bikes shouldn't mess with cars on the street and vice versa, because it always ends poorly one way or the other. And I'd hate to say, you know, go get your jollies off at the track, but unlike the Nürburgring, we already know cars and bikes don't mix, so we don't do that.
You can go to a track day with a bike. I mean, they have bike track days.
Yes, but this isn't the bike's fault. Like this all
No.
started
No.
with the Audi
Yeah, the Audi needs to go to the track too.
going to the junkyard.
We don't know what was happening before. This is a clip of that guy's video. So we don't know what
Yeah.
ass hattery they were doing up until this point. And the motorcycle, I just caught a glimpse right before he nails the drive axle or the bumper or whatever that was in the road. He was doing 25 miles an hour. So he slowed down from the 90 plus,
And still hit it.
but,
Oh my
but
God.
still hit it.
Well, he was doing Dave's of Thunder. You're trying to drive through the smoke.
The other driver, too, I'm like, okay, first of all, you shouldn't have been doing 90 at that curve.
You should not on that road at all.
But also, why are you staying in your lane? You should have been like cutting.
Yeah, if you could see around the corner, you apex that corner.
You don't pretend like you're like on a slot car track and try to stay in the lane.
Just because you have a fast car doesn't mean you can drive
if you're
it.
going to drive illegally, go full illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that car is totaled. Hopefully, the passenger wasn't injured and the driver wasn't too seriously injured. All right, now we go back down to Florida. Actually, I don't know where did that one take place? Where were we with the R8? Did it even say?
No, I don't think it did.
I don't think it said. We don't know. We were somewhere when that happened.
We were on Earth.
Maybe. We don't know where we were. But now we're going to Florida.
Oh boy.
And, you know, we haven't had one of these in a while. So we're due 3 months into 2025, and we hadn't had a beer fueled stolen ambulance chase. But here it is, folks.
Oh
Here it
God.
Bingo.
Bingo. You got your Florida bingo card out.
My card is complete. Bingo.
Dodge Dart at NASA Space Flight Center. We got them all now. We've checked all the boxes.
I mean, I don't even need to say anything else. He steals an ambulance. He's drunk. He goes on a chase. They catch him. You know, it's typical Saturday night things.
Yes, but what were the cops driving? That's what's really important now. That's what we need to focus on.
Not the Mustang V8 Interceptors.
So what you're saying was he had a chance.
He had a chance. He had a chance. So, for those of you who are playing Florida Bingo, hopefully one of these days we'll have a nice gator story or hops into the creek to escape the popo.
Oh, those are my favorite. And they get naked while they do it too. It's amazing.
And we also need a good drunken lawnmower chase.
Oh, those are excellent.
All right. Now, this last one is less funny than like piss you off a little bit. So apparently there's some guy down in Texas who is going around, and there's a couple like video clicks, short little Instagrams that you can see of him, quote, test driving these cars, and they got the dealer guy in his passenger seat. He's just abusing the F out of these things. And I'm like, why are you doing this? First, it's stupid. Some of the times he's like on a public road with other people in traffic, just driving like an asshat, begging to have an accident like the R8. And like, what are you getting out of this other than trying to get your Instagram likes up? Like, why are you doing this?
Because he saw the Jeff Gordon staged videos from 20 years ago remember he would go in in disguise to the dealerships and drive the Camaros, but that was all produced by GM. It was all on purpose.
The Super Bowl commercial or whatever,
Yeah,
too.
I guess he's trying to do the real life version of that, but I mean, he's getting the likes on Instagram, 175,000 views or whatever.
It's funny they can't catch this guy yet, apparently, because I guess he's using a fake name and then he never shows his face in any of the videos. So I don't think they've actually caught the guy yet.
Wouldn't the the dealerships have cameras? Wouldn't they see him? Isn't that?
I don't know. And don't you have to provide a driver's license? They don't just give you unless you have a fake ID and everything's lies on it. I have no idea. Like how you haven't caught this guy yet is
Yeah.
confusing.
This could also be BS as well to get people to
Yeah.
go into those dealerships, for all you know.
So I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh. Dashboard confessional.
Yes, this is my dashboard confessional. When I was younger, in my 20s or so, one of my hobbies was going to car dealerships and test driving cars. Some of them were cars I was interested in. Many of them, most of them were cars I really was not going to be able to buy, but I wanted to be able to drive them. So I would take them for a drive. Now, they were all normal test drives. And, it wasn't like I was doing what this guy was doing. But when I met my friend Andrew, he was working at CarMax. The first time I ever met him, I went with this other guy. We went to CarMax. And they had a 96 or 98 SVT Cobra on the lot. And I was like, hey, can I test drive that? And he was like, sure. I mean, he thought I was a potential buyer. And so I took it. And that one was a little more reckless. I got the car sideways a couple times, almost did a Cars and Coffee. And yeah, and now we've been friends for 25 years.
There you go.
But what this guy's doing is trash.
Are you sure you did it, or did the Mustang actually do it to you? It might actually be the natural behavior of the Mustang.
It was like the movie Maximum Override. Like I was just along for the ride like everybody else. Autopilot, Pontius Pilot took the wheel. That's what Tesla needs to call it. It's not autopilot, it's Pontius Pilot.
Pontius Pilot. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, and just like him, the autopilot washes its hands of it by disengaging.
Man,
Jesus, oh, you can't take the wheel.
that's right.
Oh.
Jesus' hands are tied at the moment.
Now we have to go behind the pit wall and talk about motorsports news.
Brad,
What
guess
what
what?
happened?
Guess what? Guess what? Guess what I subjected him to?
You made him watch a race.
I made him listen to it. It was on the laptop in the garage while we were doing some work. I had the race playing, so he at least was listening to it, possibly sometimes seeing it.
So I'm just sitting here waiting for Eric to say, I told you so.
Thank you.
He said it
Thank
multiple
you.
times. He said
Yes.
it multiple times.
Thank you. I'm going to be nice.
Bullshit. When are you ever nice?
Flag on the play. I'm going to start with Alonso's. He was baffled by his unlucky crash that came out of nowhere because it was the same freaking corner that everybody was trying to cut in the rain through the sand trap. And if it worked for the first guy, it must work for the rest of us. Meanwhile, crash off into the side, eating a sandwich. He's done. I kept saying it. I was like, every time somebody came through that turn, through that chicane, I'm like, you guys, you know it's raining. The curbs are slicker than snot. And you've got this garbage sand on the inside. And you saw it happen with Piastri. He coated his tires. He made it to the next corner. And then he was off because he had zero traction after putting it through the sand trap. And you're confused by what happened? This is like racing 101. Driving in the rain line is where you have grip.
Also, don't touch the curbs.
No kidding. Like we learned all this crap in HPDE. Like we learned it all a million years ago. But again, they're Formula One. They're the best drivers in the world.
They need to go back to HPDE, I think.
He was surprised by the crash. Meanwhile, there's all the Instagram videos of Alonso. I never want to speak to the media again. I have nothing to say to you people. There is nothing new to talk about. I am a robot. Do not interview me anymore. I'm like, whatever, dude. Isn't it time you freaking retire?
It was a Sunday. Jesus was busy. He didn't have time to take the wheel in that case.
Let's get to the punchline here, okay? The juiciest part of the episode is about to happen. Let's get to it. Hamilton.
First race of the season. McLaren wins. Lando Norris, P1.
Boom. Max Verstappen.
P2, because of Piastri's unfortunate slide in the last few laps of the race, as was just mentioned. Russell, Mercedes, P3.
Give us the rest of the drivers between Russell, Mercedes, and the inferior Mercedes. Mercedes can't develop a car.
Mercedes, Rookie driver Kimi Antonelli, 4th place.
Uh-huh.
Alex Albon, Williams, 5th place.
Uh-huh.
Lance Stroll, Aston Martin, 6th. Nico Hulkenberg's Kick Sauber, 7th place.
Okay.
Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, 8th place.
Wait. What haven't I heard yet?
Oscar Piastri, McLaren, 9th place, who should have been 2nd.
Wait, hold on. We're at 9th place. We're like almost out of the points at this point.
A 2-position drop from his qualifying position of 8th place.
Who was in 10th place? Who was it again?
Sir Lewis Hamilton.
7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, okay. All right.
With his debut Grand Prix with Ferrari.
Now, I will say a couple things. One, the Williams team really surprised me.
Sainz was in P2 during practice.
I'm sorry. Feel bad. He wrecked himself out on like lap 3.
Another one where Jesus was busy. And then the next thing I'll say.
Not today. Not today.
Not today, Carlos.
Jesus put up a sign and said out to lunch.
It's the time difference in Australia. He was like, nah, man.
True. He was in another part of the world. I'll also say it was mostly a rain race the whole time, pretty much. Rain races are very unpredictable and a lot of shit happens and a lot of the grid doesn't turn out like it usually does during a dry race. So rain races do have a lot of variability.
Flag on the, I can't even use the referee whistle anymore. I'm going to get a vuvuzela and be like, because isn't Hamilton touted as like one of the rain gods? Like when the weather gets bad, then Hamilton comes to life and all this BS.
Maybe in the Mercedes he was.
That's the Hamilton of 20 years ago, because the Hamilton I saw in Australia in 2025, hang it up, brother. You're done.
We'll give him the benefit of a few more races to see how things turn out.
We're going to make it to the 3rd round, and I'm going to tell you it's going to be the same from then on.
He was also having trouble with the team strategy and like understanding the team strategy and stuff. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Ferrari though.
Yeah, Ferrari did what Ferrari does.
In offense or defense, whatever would be appropriate for here, they did Ferrari themselves, because when it did start raining hard at the end of the race, everybody else pitted and they stayed out too many laps, kept trying to go on the hard tires. And when they all finally pitted, it effed Leclerc. He would have been way higher up based on where he was had he pitted with everybody else. But they kept them out and they did a typical bullshit Ferrari strategy of like 2 years ago.
Yeah, they looked like they were in the drive-through line at McDonald's, like one car behind the other. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. The thing is, that strategy, I don't know how to understand how you can't understand it. Like, they're going to tell you to pit and you come pit. But the strategy behind the wheel, when you're on track, you're driving and you're supposed to be driving to your limits and pushing past your limits and being the god amongst gods.
Actually, not anymore. See, because they actually tell them not to as the strategy.
Then what is the point of this anymore?
What I've observed over the last few years of coming back in and watching it is they go really hard, like the first 2-3 laps, they try to like win at the first corner basically. And then after the first couple laps, everybody just dials it back and they go into cruise mode.
It's tire preservation.
And then they all try to punch it in the last 2 laps of the race to win it again. But no, it's not like 20 years ago where it was like, we're going hard every lap, 12 tenths the whole time. No, they go like 11 tenths the first laps and then they go 7 tenths for 40 laps out of the race. And then they start dialing it back in. Like they literally, like you can listen to the strategy where they're like, oh, you know, don't push. Or then they'll be like, okay, it's time to push now. Can you go faster?
Are they giving birth? Like, what is all this pushed up?
You know, Eric, to your point, they don't make drivers like they used to.
Can't all be Senna, can we?
Oh.
I'm just saying, Hamilton wrecked the Ferrari at the test track. I don't think it's going to get any better for him. And I don't want to hear about how, new team, you guys told me all this stuff.
They'll pull that because I already saw a thing where it showed his first years in any of the 3 teams he's driven in, he did not win. So even when he moved to Mercedes the first time, his first year was crap. he got points, he got some podiums and all that, but he was not won the first time. And the same thing with like McLaren for the 1 year that he did it, I guess, or whatever it was. And then so people are going to say if he has a bad year, they're still going to hang it and they're going to be like, oh, he did it with the other teams too. So we're going to hold out for, next year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Just like every football team. But the point is, by that point, he'll be 2 years older than when he transitioned over. So
Oh, yeah.
he's aging out of Formula One. He just needs to stop.
You can't beat Father Time.
And it might just be that, reflexes are down, the drive to risk your life.
He's already proven what he needs to prove. Now, the thing is, if he's still got it in him to say he wants to better Schumacher and not be tied with Schumacher, then he's got to do it. But if he can't, then he can't. It is what it is. There's plenty of other champions out there that have settled for, I did what I came to do and I'm done. And what's the point of hanging on and collecting a paycheck at this point? Because to come in 10th,
Well, look at Alonso.
I don't understand what Aston Martin's doing.
Two-time world champion coming in back marker. Well, mid-pack.
They're like Tom Brady.
It would have been hilarious if Alonso hadn't wrecked. He would have finished in front of Hamilton. But to have Lance Stroll and all these other guys in front of you that we make fun of all the time, in previous years, you're like, dude, you're done. Like, you're not Haas, but you might as well be.
Well, this weekend is the Chinese Grand Prix, so we'll see what happens there.
We shall see, shan't we? I'm coming over.
Which I saw something. They're having issues with tire logistics, like getting tires.
BS with tires. I don't want to hear it. Real quick, WRC news. I got hit over the head this past weekend. I wanted to get caught up because we're moving into Kenya and some of the other rallies. Red Bull has started geofencing their race coverage. So the first 3 rounds are blocked in the United States. You can't watch Monaco, can't watch Sweden, can't watch Kenya on Red Bull TV. So I am now forced to consider finally moving to WRC Plus. And then I found out WRC Plus is not available on the Roku. Boo.
Did you use a VPN?
That's a whole rat hole. How do you get a Roku to use a VPN? Figure that out, right? That's the problem. Got to put the whole house in a VPN? Yeah, that's a mess. So at any rate, I just want to call back that we did a lot of coverage this month on different disciplines of racing, specifically Trans Am. And our friends at the IMRRC and the sponsor of our Motorsports News is now the Hall of Fame for Trans Am. And one of the 18 inductees, Amy Ruman, was featured on our panel earlier this month. So I invite everybody to check out the second week of March. We did a whole Trans Am week covering the first 50 years. Amy's championship year in 2015 into 16, she actually won back-to-back. And then this new panel with some champions of Trans Am, which was a lot of fun. So check that out in our catalog of shows. And as I mentioned, the International Motor Racing Research Center is our sponsor for our Motorsports News. We do have more virtual center conversations coming for the rest of the season. We're just coming off this 4-parter for International Women's Month. By the time you listen to this episode, we'll have wrapped that out and moved into our next block of programming. And the Corvette sweepstakes closed, but the IMR sweepstakes is back again. No more Corvettes, but you can enter to win a 2025 Porsche 911T manual transmission, 6-speed, or $75,000 cash option. So, Brad, now that you got all that Carvana money, it's time to enter this IMRC sweepstakes. Get yourself a new 911, and the details are available at racingarchives.org. And then click on sweepstakes in the top right corner.
As a reminder, you can find tons of upcoming local shows and events at the ultimate reference for car enthusiasts, collectorcarguide.net.
Time for the GTM Trackside Report. Just a couple quick things. There are some new developments from Hooked on Driving. They have some additional information about their 4th of July weekend bash at Watkins Glen. It's going to be one of the highlights of their season. It's going to be more than just a track day. They're doing fireworks, they're doing food trucks, they're doing vendors, live events for kids, activities, and more. So your event registration for the 4th of July HOD Northeast event includes all of those paddock activities, festivities, and camping. So be sure to sign up early before it fills out because it is expected to sell out. So that's hookedondriving.com for those details. And coming from Hooked on Driving, they have a newly formed HOD Mid-Atlantic region that they just announced. It's going to fill in the gap between the Northeast and Southeast regions. They're going to be covering tracks like National Corvette Museum, Carolina Motorsports Park, VIR, NCCAR, which is the North Carolina Center for Automotive Research that Brad and I tried out many, many years ago. So we have their details in the show notes, but you can reach out to the new Hooked on Driving Mid-Atlantic region for more details on their upcoming schedule. And we're going to have those events posted on our calendar as well. And PCA Potomac region, for those of you in the DMV, has released their full autocross schedule for the season. And we posted that on our calendar as well. Most of the events do take place at Summit Point. So maybe you could double down, do an autocross day and a track day while you're there, because there's a high probability that one of the other tracks is going to be busy. And all of that can be registered for on motorsportreg.com.
Don't forget, if you're looking for that extra special automobilia to make your garage, office, den, or man cave, be sure to check out GarageStyleMagazine.com for a list of upcoming auctions and events, along with a curated list of items going up for sale all over the country. Because after all, what doesn't belong in your garage?
Welcome again to Season 6 of Break Fix, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network. The month of March was dedicated to the fearless female trailblazers of the autosphere, so be sure to jump back into the catalog. We interviewed 19 drivers over the course of the month, along with other great content. And once you're done with that, stick around and check out other programs we offer like Screen to Speed, the Ferrari Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Evening with a Legend, the Logbook, Break Fix, and of course, the Drive-Thru.
And we've also got lots of great extras and bonuses to explore on our expanded Patreon page. So if you'd like to learn more about our bonus and behind the scenes content and get early access to upcoming episodes, consider becoming a Break Fix VIP by clicking the blue Join for Free button in the middle of the page when you visit patreon.com/GTMotorsports.
And remember, for everything we've talked about on this episode and more, be sure to check out the follow-on article and show notes available at gtmotorsports.org.
And thank you to our co-host and executive producer, Tanya, and all the fans, friends, and family who support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network. Without you, none of this would be possible. And this is my dashboard confessional.
And congratulations again on selling your car. Combine that with your tax return, you might be able to buy...
Thinking a rotisserie chicken from Costco.
Well, does it cover your Cybertruck allotment? Hey! He didn't make any comments about my hair. I'm disappointed.
You didn't make any comments about my hair, bruh.
Oh, you're looking neat and tidy there, my friend.
I know. I got a fresh
A
cut.
fade. Little bit of
Well, he's
fade
got all that
on
money in his pocket now because he sold his car, you know? He's like,
I'm hood rich now.
Make it rain! Make it rain!
No.
All right, go ahead and do the intro. See, all he did was he turned on his computer. He's just teasing us now. That's what it is.
What is that from?
Halloween.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, is it?
Good thing we don't live stream this.
That would be fun.
Can you imagine?
What bothers me about this is that I don't get any warning. So I'm talking, and you guys keep talking over me, and I don't know if like I should be mad because you're just like ignoring me, or if you just don't hear me. And
It is the latter, not the former, my friend. It is that.
I figured.
He's got the touch.
A touch too much.
No, she's talking like Stan Bush. You got the power. Or the Transformers movie.
No, I was thinking the AC/DC song.
Yeah.
Well, here we are in the drive-through line, me and her. Cars in front of us, cars in back of us, all just waiting to order. There's some idiot in a Volvo with his bright sun behind me. I lean out the window and scream, hey, what you trying to do, blind me? My wife says maybe we should pause.
We hope you enjoyed another awesome episode of Break Fix Podcast, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or get involved, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Grand Touring Motorsports. And if you'd like to learn more about the content of this episode, be sure to check out the follow-on article at gtmotorsports.org. We remain a commercial-free and no annual fees organization through our sponsors, but also through the generous support of our fans, families, and friends through Patreon. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can get access to more behind-the-scenes action, additional pit stop minisodes, and other VIP goodies, as well as keeping our team of creators fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, gummy bears, and Monster. So consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without you, none of this would be possible.